We continue with tributes to the late jazz artist who passed away today at the age of 83. I'm now joined by Nandi Molefe, who is the author of Jazz Epistles. Nandi, sincere condolences, but obviously with him being a jazz apostle, tells us a great deal about the legendary Jonas.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on the line. I'm very honored to be able to speak about such an incredible icon and legend for South Africa's arts and culture, as well as just South Africa's history. And if I may just make a correction, it's the Jazz Epistles. This was a group of jazz legends, including Brahu Masekela, Abdullah Ibrahim, and of course Jonas Gwangwa, and a few other major names. So they were the Jazz Epistles. A band that decided to write about African jazz and African music, the same way Paul wrote the epistles in the Bible, in fact.
Absolutely incredible. But just take us through the significance of Jonas Gwangwa's contribution, not only to music, but to jazz.
So, Dr. Jonas Gwangwa had such an incredible influence over the 60s and 70s jazz sound, not only African jazz, which is something, of course, which was, very unique and a unique sound within the jazz scene in America and in exile. But he was an incredibly powerful producer. He is in fact one of the only composers to ever be nominated for an Academy Award for the movie Cry Freedom for writing the score. So, he has incredible legacy based on his influence with arts and culture, which he represented a group called the Amandla Cultural Ensemble, which is a cultural ensemble that traveled the world, showcasing African talent, showcasing music and acting talent, and at the same time being a powerful weapon of protest and awareness throughout the international scene, for them to understand what was happening in South Africa, and that South Africans, African people of South Africa are fighting for freedom and democratic freedom. So his influence is not only just for incredible music that plays in the township and overseas, for family functions, for significant occurrences that happen in South African lives, but based on, what also is his legacy is the fact that his music is an ambassador of the greatness of South Africa, of the overcoming of a very, very dark time South Africa had to fight for freedom.
Now, as the author of the Jazz Epistles, it's clear that you already recognized his significance. Let's talk a little bit about his legacy and how you see that being carried forward.
Well, I think, this is an interesting time for South Africa. We have incredible, African artists that are currently, musicians specifically. Right now, especially under the COVID-19 lockdown, a lot of our South African music artists aren't able to, have a platform in order to perform and to upkeep their lifestyle as creators. So I think if we look at the life of Dr. Jonas Gwangwa, I hope it just inspires all of the bodies that support art and culture to really recognize the importance of supporting local talent. If we are able to continue the way in which Dr. Jonas Gwangwa used his music as a way of educating the world, a way of exhibiting the talents that we have, then that's where we can extend his legacy. And not to forget that, he is one of the only Africans to perform at the Carnegie Hall in New York. And he performed for the Mandela concert at Wembley Stadium at his 70th birthday. So we need to just recognize the bounds and the leaps that he has reached in his lifetime and use that as a way to stand on the shoulders of giants for the current, upcoming talent and the raw South African pure talent that needs support.
Now, we know for a fact that young people are not all fond of reading, so probably not too many would have read the Jazz Epistles. How else do you see maybe you as an individual or others involved in the area of music continuing the legacy or speaking to young people about the significance of such artists?
Well, I think this ties very closely into the theme of identity. It's very important for us to use our history as a way in which to understand not only what had happened and why we are in the position that we are currently, but in essence to understand where we should be based on who we are and what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are and what makes us different and what makes us beautiful. So what I would love to see is further support and continuation of the Amandla Cultural Ensemble, in whichever form that it is now, as a charity and as a representative body. His son, Dr. Jonas' son, Jonas Gwangwa, he's the one who's in charge of his organization. So I would love to call to have South Africans in any way that they can support this kind of body of work. And just for young people to just learn that, this journey in life has many challenges, but if you are able to apply yourself with incredible discipline, despite the circumstances, you'll be able to be an incredible leader and an icon, the same way we can see how Dr. Jonas Gwangwa embodied that in his life.
Nandi Molefe, author of the Jazz Epistle, speaking to us about the legend jazz maestro Jonas Gwangwa as tributes continue to pour in.